For this practical example on abstract classes and methods, we want to design an abstract class with an abstract method. Also design a subclass that overrides the abstract method. Let us write the program in steps. In the first step, we will design a class named book. The class has the following information in fields: string field for the book's title and a double field for the book's price. Notice here it is not specified whether they are private, public, or protected. Therefore, we will leave that unspecified. So what happens in this case? The compiler will give them package access. That means protected. Let us start writing the class, and then we will come back and add a constructor and the remaining methods. To define the class, we write public class followed by the class name book. And for the data, we have a string for title and we have double for a price. So we are not specifying whether they are private, public, or protected, so they will be considered by the compiler as protected data. Next, we add a constructor to the class that requires the book title as input parameter and two get methods, one that returns the title and one that returns the price, and an abstract method named setPrice. Notice that setPrice does not have any input parameter. So let us go back to JGrasp. To define the constructor in here, we write public class name and the input parameter will be for a title. Simply we will copy T to title. Also, we need to write two get methods, public string, one for getting the title the other one for getting the price. Get a price, return a price. Finally, we need to write the abstract method setPrice. So we write public abstract and it should return a value. Abstract, there is a spelling mistake, and it should return a value. So we will assume that it does not return any value. The name is setPrice without any input parameter, and since this is abstract, so it does not have anybody. So we put semicolon. So now let us try to compile the program. First we will add it, and then we try to compile it. And now we are getting an error. Here it says book is not abstract, however we have an abstract method inside it. So therefore the class must be abstract. So if there is an abstract method in the class and you don't write the keyword abstract when you define the class, you will get syntax error. So let us write the keyword abstract. So after public and before class keyword, we write abstract. Again, we have a spelling mistake, so we have abstract. Let us try to compile it again. And as you can see, we don't have any problem. So now here what we have learned that if we have an abstract method inside a class, then you have to put the keyword abstract for the class definition. However, if you don't have any abstract method in a class and you would like to make this class abstract so that no object can be created from this class, simply you can define the class as abstract. So it is allowed to do this. But if you have an abstract method inside a class and you don't declare the class as abstract, then you will get a syntax error. In the next step, create two child classes of book class. The first one is called fiction and the second one is called non-fiction. When we say two child classes, it means two subclasses. Now in each of these classes, include a setPrice method that is an abstract method in the superclass book that sets the price for fiction books to BD 9.5 and for non-fiction books to BD 10.200 fils. Also, we need to add a constructor for each subclass and include a call to setPrice within each of these constructors. So let us go to JGrasp and implement these two subclasses. For the fiction class, we create a new file, Control N. We select Java, press OK. We write public class fiction extends book class. Now for the constructor, since it is going to call the superclass constructor, so we need to supply a string as input parameter because the constructor for book accepts a string for the title. So we will say public fiction string t. Now we need to call the superclass constructor super, and we supply t as input parameter. It is mentioned in the problem statement that inside the constructor we need to call setPrice to set the price of the book. So to call setPrice method, we write setPrice inside the constructor. But this setPrice is an abstract method in the superclass book, so we have to override it in this class. So we write override, and we need to write public void setPrice, and we need to supply the code for setting the price. Notice that in the superclass we defined it as abstract, but in here we define it as ordinary method. So you don't write abstract when you redefine it inside the subclass. It says here that the set method sets the price for fiction books to BD 9.5. So in the method, all what you have to say is that the price is equal to 9.5. Because the price is defined, protected in the superclass, we can access it directly by simply saying a price equal to 9.5. And this completes the implementation for the fiction class. And now we need to create another one for non-fiction class. So we will make a copy for the class, Control C, create a new file as Java file, and inside it we paste, and then we change the class name to non-fiction and the constructor to non-fiction. And also for the set price, it is going to change the price to 10.200. We will save it as nonfiction.java, and we will go to the fiction class. Also we will save it, and let us compile them, make sure they don't have any errors. Compile fiction class, there is no problem. We go to nonfiction, we compile, and also we don't have any syntax errors. After creating the two subclasses, fiction and non-fiction, from the super abstract class book, we want to write a small application that is called book array, in which we are going to create an array that holds 10 books. Some of these books will be created from the subclass fiction, and others will be created from the subclass non-fiction. After that, we are going to use a loop to display the details for all of these 10 books. The name of the application class will be saved as bookarray.java. So let us go to JGrasp to implement this last part. Inside the main method of our application class, here we want to create the array that will be used to store objects created from both fiction and non-fiction classes. The question is, what will be the data type for this array? Is it going to be an array of fiction class or an array of non-fiction class? Let me give you a small demonstration to show you that if you have a reference for fiction class, you cannot assign it to object created from non-fiction class, and vice versa. So fiction book equal to new non-fiction, and the name of this non-fiction book will be Introduction to Java. Let us try to compile the program. So as you can see, the compiler says incompatible types. Non-fiction cannot be converted to fiction. Similarly, if we try to assign a non-fiction reference into an object created from fiction class, and again we will have the same error it will say incompatible types, fiction cannot be converted to non-fiction, because they are different classes. However, since both of them were subclasses to a superclass called book, so we can use book as a shared reference for both of them. So here when we say book, so this is a book reference in general, and we try to make an object or create an object from fiction class and assign it to this reference. Let us compile it. So as you can see, we don't have any compatibility issues or problems. And if we create an object from non-fiction class and assign it to a reference of book class, and again we will have no issues regarding compatibilities. So therefore our array will be of type book, and we are going to call it some books. So we are going to allocate 10 of them. But remember, here we are creating the references. We are not creating the objects. So we need to create the objects one by one and then assign them into the array. We are going to create 10 random objects. Some of them created from fiction class, the others will be created from non-fiction class. Let us create the first object. So we say some books at index 0 equal to new fiction, and the name of the fiction book will be Scarlet Letter. For the next book, some books at index 1, it will be non-fiction, and we are going to call it Introduction to Java. So let us compile the application to check if there is no error, and as you can see, we don't have any errors. So after creating the array of books, then the question says use a for loop to display the details about all the 10 books. Here we have discovered that we have an index 9 instead of 0. Otherwise, the object created here will replace the object created at index 0. So to display the information about the books, let's go to the superclass book. It has a method called getTitle as well as a method getPrice. And this is a method that is shared by the subclasses. So let's go to the application, and in here we're going to write a simple for loop for integer index equals 0, index less than the name of the array some books dot length index plus. And inside we are going just simply write one statement, system dot out dot println, and in here we will display title with colon followed by the title. So we will say some books pointed by index, so this is the object, and inside we call the method getTitle for the object, followed by the cost. So now the cost of the book, so we will write cost, and we will put BD, and we will display the cost by calling the method getPrice. So we say some books index dot getPrice. Now let us compile the program. So there are no errors, so let us run the program to see the result. Run the program. So now, as you can see, this is the output of our program.